Podcorn for sponsoring this episode of Tech Time Radio. Explore sponsorship opportunities and start monetizing your podcast by signing up at podcorn.com/podcasters. Let me tell you about Podcorn. Podcorn is an absolute must for any podcaster starting out. Now, when we started out Tech Time Radio, we started out in a back office with a couple of mics. We expanded to a studio, and then now, as you can see, we're on the radio and have distribution into other markets. Having the ability to have Podcorn at the start of our podcast would have been a dream come true. Guess what? With Podcorn, you now have the amazing opportunity for podcasts to receive sponsorship, such as host reads, interview segments, and topical discussions. With Podcorn, there's no middleman. Podcasters of all sizes can browse and choose opportunities right on their platform, set their own rates, and collaborate with brands directly without exclusivities. You never give up the rights of your podcast in Podcorn, and they're here to support you everywhere possible. Visit podcorn.com. Again, that's podcorn.com. Podcorn is a true success for those starting their podcast dreams.
Broadcasting across the nation from the East Coast to the West, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side, with leading edge topics, along with special guests, to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat. Raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mum.
Welcome to Tech Time with Nathan Mum, the show that makes you go, Technology News of the Week, the show for the everyday person talking about technology, broadcasting across the nation with insightful segments on subjects weeks ahead of the mainstream media. We welcome our radio audience of 35 million listeners to an hour of insightful technology with a little whiskey on the side. I'm Nathan Mum. Welcome to our show today. We live stream during our show on 5 of the most popular platforms, including YouTube, Twitch.tv, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Thank goodness Facebook. We're going to have to tell you a little bit about what Facebook did. They messed up our stream, and so we had to go back and re-add it again. I got a warning that they didn't like some of the content I was talking about.
Probably because we were talking about Facebook.
And we're going to be talking about them today. But you can catch us, of course.
They just can't help but being in the news.
That's right. You can also tweet us during the show at hashtag TechTimeRadio, and we'll do our best to respond to tweets. You can also check out our new TikTok channel by looking for Tech Time Radio on the TikTok app. I'm your host, a technologist with over 30 years of technology expertise, working for companies like Microsoft and Vulcan Inc., as a senior level technologist. My co-host here, Mike Gordé, is an award-winning author, originally from Arizona. Mike's a human behavior expert living in the Seattle area now with a master's degree in forensic psychology. Mike helps me from geeking out and provides an insight into human behavior and how it interacts with technology. We are two friends from different backgrounds, but bring the best technology show possible every week for our family, friends, and fans to enjoy. Welcome, everybody, to Tech Time Radio. All right, Mr. Gordé, how was your weekend?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? It's Tuesday. That's good. That's all right. Okay. Well, you know what?
That's why.
You don't remember? Was that great of a weekend?
No, it was a long week.
It was a long weekend?
I slept a lot.
You slept a lot. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay, here we go.
How about that?
Odie, let's start.
I'm getting old.
Yeah, let's start today's show.
Now on today's show.
All right. Does your Windows printer still work, or did it stop working just recently?
Not if it's a Canon.
We're going to be talking about that. Do we have a mind-reading combat jet on the horizon?
Dun, dun, dun.
And what happened to our Google engineer that said that an AI had feelings? Tech Time Radio answers all these questions and more on today's episode. First up, we're going to have our expert Nick Espinoza on the show to discuss the Uber Files leak. This Uber Files thing is amazing. This is taken out of an espionage type of movie script. Let me just tell you about this.
Well,
It is just unbelievable. You won't believe this stuff when you start reading it. You're like,
we talked about this a couple weeks ago.
We did, and now we're going to have our expert Nick's going to kind of break it down for us so that we can all understand what's going on. I thought this would get huge news, and it's being swept underneath, and
not a lot of people are talking about it.
No, they're talking about
probably like, you know what, with all the other stuff that Uber's done in the past, they're like, whatever.
That's right. Okay. Then we have a special today called Summertime for Kids, using screen-free technologies with our guest, Drew Vernon. And we're going to launch a new segment today called Technology Fail of the Week.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun. In addition, we have our standard features, including This Week in Technologies, Mike's mesmerizing moment, and of course, our pick of the day, whiskey tasting. You might even get a nugget of the week if we do not run out of time. So sit back, raise a glass, and welcome to Tech Time with Nathan Mum. Now it's time to start the show with our Technology Fail of the Week, brought to you by Elderberry Boost. Get your Elderberry Boost today at elderberry-boost.com. Mike and Odie, here is what we're going to now call our TFW, the Technology Fail of the Week. Let's see if you go WTF to our TFW. All right, this fail comes to us from Russia. Chess robot breaks 7-year-old boy's finger during the Moscow Open. The robot broke the finger of a child, said Sergei Leveraz, president of the Moscow Chess Federation, told the Russian agency, "Of course, this is bad news for us." The video of the incident shows the robot taking one of the boy's pieces and then grabbing his finger as he attempts to make a move. Then snap goes the finger as 4 adults rush to rescue the boy. Now, of course, the response is the child made a move, and after that action is registered, it is necessary for the robot to have a little bit of time before it responds. But the boy hurried, and the robot grabbed him.
Yes, I love how they blamed it on the kid.
In a statement. On the bright side, though, the boy was able to play the next day and finish the tournament with his finger in a cast. So what's this about? Now, this is like a industrial strength robot arm. This thing is huge. And it's at this big chess open, and it takes a finger of a kid and just breaks it.
Well, you know, it's not like he did it on.
You don't think the
Not
robot
like
did
the
it?
robot's like, smack, get out of the way, kid, snap.
Well, I know, but when do you have robots playing in chess tournaments? Is this like a new thing now?
No,
Well,
this
were
has been
they-
going on for a while.
Were they playing like really fast where you just have to get the next move as quickly as possible and it was an accident
Well, there's 4 chessboards. So the robot hand was like in the middle of 4 chessboards. And
against
so,
4 different opponents?
yes,
This is-
so
this
it goes
is-
from one place to another place to another place to another place.
Yeah, this has to do with AI and things like this. I think one of the interesting pieces of this is that Kasparov. You know
Yeah.
who Kasparov is, right?
No.
Okay, never mind.
Well, who's Kasparov? No, he's a chess champion.
He's a Russian chess champion who
Yeah.
got beaten by an AI, and he had some commentary on it, basically saying, "See, I told you."
So the robots are getting back at him?
No, he's getting back at the robots.
Oh, he's getting back at the
Yeah.
robots? Okay, there you go. So would you play chess with the robot?
I wouldn't play chess, period. I don't know how to play it.
Oh, you don't know how to play chess?
No.
Oh. Well, that's
We
what-
all play chess against robots.
do we?
Yeah,
Every day
Oh,
you
like
drive on the
Mac
freeway.
or something?
That's
Yeah,
right.
That's not chess.
That's not chess.
Anytime
it is in the
you
Seattle
play,
area.
anytime you play a chess game on a single player chess game, you're playing against an AI.
Do you ever remember Chess Master? That was like the very
Yeah.
first PC game that I had that was a chess deal. And it had the little fighting guys that go on in and it'd be
That
like,
wasn't Chess Master.
it wasn't Chess Master.
No.
Okay, never mind. All right. Well, that is
Get on with it.
okay. That is our technology fail of the week. Remember, you can always order your elderberry boost at elderberry-boost.com. All right, Mike, as always, we still do have our whiskey tasting during our commercials to see if we like our whiskey pick of the day. If it gets 0, 1, or 2 thumbs up at the end of the show, make sure you listen all the way through. We got a little Mark's Mumble on there. That'll be a little bit more detail regarding the whiskey itself. It smells really good. So I'm hoping that we will give it 2 thumbs up. And if not, then we will
Sure.
definitely talk about it the whole time, saying how bad it is. All right, now it's time for the latest headlines in the world of technology.
What's happening in the world of technology? This is our top stories in the first 5 minutes.
All right, well, I'm sure our Facebook feed is going to stop after story number 1.
Yeah.
All right, Cobalt Music removes more than 700,000 songs from Facebook and Instagram. Cobalt, one of the world's largest music publishers, has removed its entire 700,000 song catalog from Facebook and Instagram in the United States. The company's U.S. licensing agreement with Meta, parent, and the 2 social media giants have expired. The 2 parties have failed to reach a new deal, and Cobalt administrators have removed songs with artists such as Paul McCartney, The Weeknd, Foo Fighters, Billie Eilish, The Chicks, Beck, and many more. So it's just like a list. These are like the standard.
I think the interesting thing that is this comes on the tail end of all this other stuff that's going on for Facebook, like them losing all these subscribers and
and they're going to announce tomorrow their earnings report.
And
they are keeping everything. Normally they leak earnings reports and people can say, oh, well, the earnings are going to be blah, 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 blah. No one has an idea. They have it anywhere between a $5 earning down to a $2.34 earning, which would be much under the expectation. No leaks have come on up at all about Facebook.
We talked about the Zuckerberg issuings of the hey, if you you have to be good to work here kind of speech.
After his speech to motivate his employees. Well, the move comes just a few days before Facebook and Meta had a lawsuit that's been filed against them from the Sweden Epidemic Sound, filed a $142 million lawsuit against Meta earlier this week, claiming that they used unauthorized works across both Facebook and Instagram and its Rampart, and they are not removing it. It's rare to have two such large companies reach to this point with a major market social media company. Goldman Sachs estimates that the Facebook contributed to 29% of all the emerging platforms advertising paid to the record music industry in 2021. So they paid a lot of money to the recorders in 2021. Are they going to do the same?
I don't know.
We'll find out on Wednesday, July 27th. The release of Meta's information will be out to the public.
Yeah, we'll see what they end up doing over the next.
Yeah, you know my prediction. I said
I know.
I'm hoping in 5 years Meta just disappears.
You Facebook. That's what you think. Yep.
I think Facebook is
our feed.
Facebook is going to become the MySpace of social media.
Oh man, you just ruined it for us on there.
Okay, there you go. All right,
there you go.
There you go. Oh, our feed is down. Nope. Okay, story number 2, Mike, you're up.
Hey, do you remember the 1982 flick Firefox?
I do. Yes,
with Clint Eastwood.
I do. Yes,
he steals the Russian MiG with the interface where he had to think to shoot the weapons.
Yep.
How about the 2005 flop Stealth?
I did not watch that.
Do you remember that one?
I did not watch that.
That one's where these Top Gun pilots go up against an AI stealth fighter.
Okay.
Right.
And what happens in there?
Nobody watched it, so I don't know.
So you don't know either. Okay. All right.
But it had Jessica Biel and Jamie Foxx in it.
Oh, okay. Well, some good actresses. And actors.
At any rate, well, now the real world is caught up with the movie world as the fighter jet Tempest, an European Union multi-country project that sports an artificial intelligence tool to assist the human pilot when needed, especially during situations where they may be under too much stress, like extreme G-forces.
Wow.
Sensors in the pilot's helmet will monitor the brain and other signals, amassing a huge biometric and psychometric information database, which can rely on to step in if the sensors indicate that there is a problem.
So what I've also so it's gonna be monitoring my brain as I'm flying around.
So yeah,
and if I get anxiety or something like that, it's gonna just take over for me.
Well, I'm not sure that anxiety would qualify, but if you do a high G-force turn and you lose consciousness, the computer system will kick in and take over for you.
Okay.
So it essentially is reading the pilot's thoughts while you're flying around. The Tempest project is projected to test these and other features in a run from its Lancashire, UK home by 2027.
Wow.
The aircraft is set up to test 60 other project features as well. In the near future, when it sees active service, for example, the Tempest, once dubbed the Pregnant Pelican when it was first revealed in 2018, will likely be accompanied by unmanned combat drones called adjuncts, among other things. So you'll have this thing flying around with these combat drones.
So soon you just not all you got to do
is be a cloud of these things.
So soon you don't even have to do anything. You just sit back with your joystick and you go to town,
well,
right?
this plane is actually designed as the ability to fly without a pilot.
So that doesn't sound scary, does it?
No, not at all.
Okay.
This isn't just another example of defense spending trying to keep up with the changes in technology, something that has gotten outpaced by commercial technology.
I want the transporter. Like, you see how you have transporters in Star Trek. We need to get up to that technology where you can have transporters and the holodeck.
You really should get off the whole Star Trek thing.
Why is that?
I don't know, because you're already
a holodeck. Wouldn't you like to have a holodeck?
You can find a way to bring Star Trek into every single story that we talk about.
I do. That's true.
Anyway, the system is basically designed to be like your smartphone, which is able to be upgraded with several different apps.
Okay.
The Tempest is expected to see regular service by the year 2035.
So on this plane, can you load TikTok? and have China then help guide the
nah,
plane?
Probably not.
Oh, okay. All right. I hope
Probably
not. I hope not. All right. Story number 3. A drone lifeguard service saves a teenager from drowning in the Spanish Sea. A 14-year-old boy was saved from drowning in the sea in Spain by a drone lifeguard service. As the boy struggled amid the powerful tides, a life vest was dropped from a drone, and a physical lifeguard team arrived at the spot later. Footage captured by the drone shows a boy struggling to stay afloat and grabbing the life vest. He can then be seen wearing the life vest as the boat arrives at the spot to rescue him. When they arrived, they saw the kid was in very bad shape, with no energy and just very little to keep him afloat. Because of the heavy waves, it was a complicated maneuver as it set down the life vest. Miguel Angel Pedro, drone pilot for
Pedrero.
is that
Pedrero.
drone pilot for the General Drones, said to Routers. After being rescued, the boy was then sent to the hospital after being supplied oxygen and was sent home 24 hours later. According to Sky News, the General Drones provide rapid response assistance in such cases of potential drowning. Before the lifeguards can reach the spot, the drone can assist and give ample time to save people. So, we always bag on some of these technologies doing that. But here's now the second drone story. We talked about the medicine delivery service that they had, right? So that you can deliver to remote locations. Now we have a drone dropping a parachute, saving somebody's life.
Yeah. Well, there's good things and bad things.
With technology, that's right. All right. Story number 4 is going to be your favorite, though. Here we go back to Blake Lemon. Google fired him as an engineer.
Yeah, he knew he was going to
who said that AI tech has a feeling. We talked about this about a month ago, actually. Espinoza was on the show then when we talked about it. Google has fired one of its engineers who said that the company's artificial intelligence system has feelings. Well, clearly they don't have feelings for him. Last month, Blake Lemon went public on the theory that Google's language technology is sentient and should therefore have its wants respected. Google plus several other AI experts denied the claim, and on Friday, the company confirmed that he had been let go.
Okay, now they're not letting him go because he believes this thing is sentient.
Are you sure?
They're letting him go because he's going against their non-disclosure agreements.
Right? That's probably the legal theory.
That's the legal.
Well, he's told the BBC that he's getting legal advice and declined to comment further.
Yeah, he got the AI a lawyer.
He's got the.
That's one of the stories out there.
Yeah, he wanted to get the AI a lawyer. Now he's got his lawyer lawyered up, so I guess they're going to come after him. This is going to be just a train wreck.
Maybe.
I think
this is just one of these examples where it's really hard to separate truth from fiction.
This guy, I'm sure he wishes the AI was a part of his family because he clearly had some type of an emotional attachment to this AI.
Well, yeah, we've talked over and over and over about
this. All right. Well, that ends our top stories. Up next, we have our segment Ask the Expert with Nick Espinoza, a regular contributor to the radio show. Today, we're going to be talking with Nick about the Uber files. The Uber files are thousands of secret documents made public this month by the British newspaper The Guardian. It reveals how the company courted top international politicians and used ruthless tactics to dominate the taxi service market. There's some very scary stuff in here. We're going to be right back in a moment. You're listening to Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mumm. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's up?
Are you interested in traveling now again?
Of course, isn't everybody?
Yes, I think they are. And I got a deal for you.
Tell me.
Affordable World is excited to introduce a brand new tour.
Oh, is that the new Inspiring Istanbul and Malta tour?
That's correct.
All right. They will have you exploring the timeless mystique of Istanbul, where you'll lose yourself in this multicultural texture and lively atmosphere. Then discover the tiny island paradise of Malta, a hidden gem where you can escape to see spectacular beaches, rolling fields, and endless vineyards.
You can save $100 per person with the code that we're going to give you right here at Tech Time Radio called Hidden Gem. Again, just like Malta, if you type in the code Hidden Gem at checkout, you can save $100 per person. Airfare and accommodation are included. Visit affordableworld.com to book today. You visit the 2 incredible destinations on one single trip. The discount code Hidden Gem can be entered at checkout. It cannot be combined with any other offers, and the promotion runs July 1st through September 30th. Make sure to sign up now. Again, visit affordableworld.com. That's affordableworld.com to start your vacation adventure. Welcome back to Tech Time with Nathan Mum. Tech Time Radio is our technology show that talks about current technology in a simple format without having to geek out. Brought to you by myself, Nathan Mum, and Mike Renee. We just had our first whiskey tasting during the break, and now let me tell you all about what we're sipping in our pick of the day. Today's show, we have chosen the Belle Meade Reserve, 108.3 proof, $68.99. Belle Meade Reserve is the premium expression of the Belle Meade bourbon line. Their distilleries identify certain superior barrels from their inventory and combine them into separate batches that yield a richer, more robust bourbon. Belle Meade Reserve is a bold, high rye content bourbon, ideal for those who appreciate the finer points of the distillery's art. Through the selection of the process guarantees a certain degree of batch-by-batch variation. Every bottle of Belle Meade Reserve is rich and full-flavored, showing vanilla, caramel, spice, and stone fruits. What's your first impression of it? So is it
no.
You're not liking it a little bit?
No.
Why is
It's
that?
a little bit too for my palate. It's a little bit too strong up front.
Maybe we have to get some more air into it. Maybe as it
Maybe
airs
as it
out through the
breathes a
show
little bit.
itself. Actually, I kind of like it.
I
like the burn. I still have the burn. Do you have the burn that's still going through?
No, but it really overtook the flavor really quick. So
really?
I'm more of a I like the flavor, as you know.
Yeah.
And anything that takes away from the flavor really bothers me.
Okay.
So
all right.
I kind of want to know what stone fruits are too.
You want to know what stone fruits are?
Yeah.
It's a cut and paste, so I don't know what stone fruits are
What-
either.
We'll
I'll have to look
ask
at
Mark.
it. We'll have to Mark's
We'll have to
mumble.
we'll have to ask Mark what a stone fruit is.
Yeah, so he can get it back to us. All right. Well, now that we got our whiskey out of the way, we have our technology expert. Nick Espinoza is an expert in cybersecurity and network infrastructure. Nick Espinoza has consulted with clients ranging from small business to Fortune 100 levels. In 1998, at age 19, Nick founded Windy City Networks. Later acquired in 2015, he created Security Fanatics, where he is the chief security fanatic. He'll be joining us on a video stream to start our next segment. Let's get ready to go now.
Welcome to the segment we call Ask the Experts. With our Tech Time Radio expert, Nick Espinoza.
Nick, welcome to the show.
Hi,
Hopefully-
Nick.
How are you doing? We haven't talked to you for a little bit. We always are excited to have you on the show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if anything's happened since the last time I've been here, your first segment proves I'm the only one that has ever watched Terminator in the history of this planet. I mean,
I can't believe we have airplanes that are going to be self-controlled by people.
unbelievable. The robot with the kid. And there's also a baby Terminator out there too, a robot that they didn't program with AI that figured out how to walk on its own. I mean, really. I
Yeah.
single-handedly kept James Cameron in business, apparently.
That's why I bring the Star Trek stuff in. We are just like sci-fi close right now with all the new
you just
technologies.
need to get away from there.
All right.
Unbelievable.
Now, Nick, welcome to the show. The Uber files are thousands of secret documents made public on July of 2022 by the British newspaper The Guardian and the International Investigation of Journalists. It reveals how the company courted top international politicians and used ruthless tactics to dominate the taxi service market. Now, these files are big. So
Huge.
to let everybody know what's going on, because clearly not everybody's talking about it. And I thought this would have been like the big what's his face that leaked out all the information. I forget the guy's name. Snowden. Yeah, the Snowden
Yeah.
reports, right? I
No.
figured this would be covered by everybody, but no, since it's Uber and everything, I guess we were kind of trying to hush and hush.
Yeah, well, Uber has something that Snowden doesn't, which is a pile of money to have basically marketing people quash these kinds of things. I know that firsthand. I am not a fan of this company. I have not had an Uber since 2017. After their massive data breach, they tried to cover up. But yes, you are 100% correct. We are talking about 124,000 documents, text messages, emails. I mean, flipping smoke signals at this point was essentially given out to the public by Mark McGann, who is Uber's former chief lobbyist for Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, and basically said he had an ethical duty to do this. This leak is utterly massive. As you said, 180 journalists at 40 media outlets, not just The Guardian, which was the spearhead of this, but Le Monde in France, the Washington Post, the BBC out of the UK. This is huge. This leak actually spans 5 years when Uber was run by one of their co-founders, Travis Kalanick, who basically tried to, by sheer force of will, get Uber into cities around the world, even if it meant breaking laws, taxi regulations, all this kind of stuff in 40 different countries. It's absolutely crazy what they went through. It's absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Yeah. And
I mean, this
This is like
not,
a huge conspiracy. I mean, this is like
Huge.
level conspiracy type stuff here
but
that we're talking about.
it's not news, right? I mean, it's not new for this guy because he got pounded on a couple of years ago for other practices.
Yeah, that's
Oh
correct.
yeah.
All right, so Nick, so you talked about how the leak happened. All right, so now all these documents come on out. What's the next process for people to go through these documents? Are they just available on the web for people to read? Are there groups that are going through this and dissecting and coming up with different
Yeah.
stories or stuff? What's happening to this and from the leak?
Yes. So basically, it's an international consortium of journalists that put this out. I can't remember their initials, but you can go take a look at the documents, and most of them are linking to this, like the BBC, for example, or the Washington Post. They're putting it out there. But to your point, nobody's reading this, and it's fascinating reading. It's seriously, to your point, right out of a spy novel here. And literally, I did a video on this the other week called "Uber is a Horrible Company," and I got like 6 views compared to like my other videos. You know, it's mind-boggling to me. It's just mind-boggling.
I just don't get why people aren't picking it up. So that's why we're going to be talking about it today. And I was figuring we didn't cover it when it broke because I figured this would be big news. And we like to cover kind of the stuff that doesn't get broken out there, right? So we like to get the stuff ahead of time. So I figured when this came on out, everybody would be talking about it. It'd be on the talk shows, it'd be on the late night news, the comedy sketches would be talking about it, but it just went absolutely dead silence on what's going on.
Excellent marketing.
All right, so the document revealed attempts to lobby influential figures. What are some of the figures that have come on up in the documents that were targeted as influential?
Right. And this is why it boggles my mind, because it's a veritable who of political leaders and wealthy, influential people around the globe. Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, who at the time when this happened was the economic minister. He even told Uber that he had brokered a secret deal with its opponents in the French cabinet to ramrod them through. The German chancellor at the time, Olaf Scholz, who was then the mayor of Hamburg, he had problems with them. Then Vice President Joe Biden, now obviously President of the United States, was a supporter. He met with Kalanick at the Davos conference back in the day, and he actually appeared to have amended his speech at Davos to refer to Uber as a company that would give millions of workers, and I quote directly here, freedom to work as many hours as they wish, manage their own lives as they wish. This is Uber's big push. They were pouring money into this. In addition to Biden and Macron and some of the others, they also met face-to-face with the Irish Prime Minister Enda Kenny, the Israeli Prime Minister at the time, Benjamin Netanyahu, George Osborne, who was the UK Chancellor, and on and on and on. I mean, they literally were pouring money into meeting and essentially having these ties at the top echelons of international governments. It's absolutely insane. And literally, you and I are the only ones that are talking about this.
Yeah, and we're going to get very little hits too. Somehow it'll be regulated that we'll get little hits no matter how I put this.
After that story about Facebook, we won't get any from Facebook.
That's right. But we're going to keep on talking about it. Yeah. All right. So the files also documented this tool called a gray ball. Now, what is the gray ball and how is it misleading to local police? Explain this to me. This is where I geeked out about this and the kill switch. But let's talk about the gray ball first.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me that Uber is actually still in Apple's App Store because of this. Gray ball essentially was what this was doing in the Uber app was collecting data from the Uber app and other techniques to identify and then circumvent officials who were trying to clamp down on the ride on basically Uber. Meaning, like if one of these officials that was dead set opposed to it, they got identified in the Uber app. So when they tried to get an Uber, which might have been illegal in their area, Uber knew not to allow them to use this service. Uber used this basically in Boston, in Paris, in Las Vegas. They use it in Australia, even China, South Korea. Gray ball, interestingly enough, was actually part of an overarching program called VTOS or VTOS, short for violations of terms of service, which Uber created basically to root out people that they thought were improperly targeting their service to essentially deny them, meaning the lawmakers of the world that wanted to check them out, they weren't letting them get rides. You know, the program, including Gray Ball, began as early as 2014, was in use through at least 2017, but predominantly outside of the United States, although it was used here. As we now know, it was used in Boston on the East Coast. And interestingly enough, as I mentioned, it was also reported that Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, the one who took over for Jobs, personally intervened when Apple found out that Uber was fingerprinting code in their app to track iPhones by collecting the iPhone's serial number, which is against the terms of services. This is why Facebook basically struck Facebook, or I'm sorry, Apple struck Facebook's VPN from the App Store like permanently. It was called Onavo because it was tracking everything that you were doing. Uber was literally fingerprinting you through your iPhone just so it could look at those officials that basically weren't fans and then exclude them from their service. It's absolutely crazy.
So you know what this means now?
Technological Cold War is on.
Yeah, so you know what this
Yeah.
means? I will never be able to get an Uber again. If I go down to Disneyland or something like that, I try to get an Uber.
I don't
it
know.
literally will just be at this big
Are you
focus
sure?
area where, well, I'll just go to Lyft and then I'll be fine.
I take
So that's-
taxis.
there you go. Or take
I just
taxis.
take taxis.
I don't
That's
know
all
that
do.
they're really-
Lyft on occasion. Never Uber.
Never Uber.
You
Never
haven't been
Uber.
gray
Never,
balled.
I'm a never Uber.
So all right. So now let's talk about so they wrote an application for people that they were pissed off at, and essentially they were blocking them from using their service. Now let's talk about this thing called the kill switch.
Yeah.
Now, this is absolutely out of a movie like Mission Impossible. This is amazing, and I see TV shows and stuff where they have these switches. You know, someone comes on in and they've got like some illegal money laundering deal, and they go and they press a big red button on the side of the wall, and boom, everything gets taken care of. But let's talk about what Uber's kill switch was and how it worked.
I swear the Travis Kalanick, the co-founder of Uber, there's a picture of him somewhere in a high back chair stroking a cat looking evil. I promise you there is one of those out there. I just know it because this is what the kill switch was. Basically, when an office of Uber was raided anywhere around the globe, they basically had an entire process where executives would immediately tell the IT staff to cut access to basically the main data systems, therefore preventing local authorities from gaining access. So, you know, I don't know, the French authorities kick in the door and say, you know, let me see your servers or whatever. Immediately they could get cut off because everything was remote back in Silicon Valley. And so they knew that they could just cut the office off and the French authorities or any authority around the globe wouldn't get anywhere. Now, the leaked files that were put out, these 124,000 files, actually indicated that this was done at least 12 times in raids by French authorities, not to mention in the Netherlands, Belgium, India, Hungary, and Romania as well. So they had an entire process for essentially excising all of their data instantly from a country anywhere when the authorities came knocking to actually look to see what they were doing.
Does
mean,
this Travis
that's
guy have ties to
insane.
Langley?
I don't know. So
I mean, this sounds like the CIA thing. Like,
Well,
you know, if you
yeah,
get in trouble, we're
Yeah.
going to deny that you are part of the CIA.
See, what's
Yeah.
even interesting about it is that during a French violence upbringing,
Oh my God,
essentially
it's
there was like this big deal where there was a bunch of protests going on, and a bunch of the Uber executives went to, again, then Travis as the CEO, and said, should we allow people to drive into this big protest area that was happening in France due to the concern about the drivers?
He's
Maybe
like, yeah.
it says, yeah, he says it's all about the money. Go ahead. Yeah, let's make us do that. I mean, he absolutely has to be in a launch chair or you know, the Austin Powers, you know, the little mini me type of guy. I can just see him being that, like that
Dr.
little dude.
Evil?
Yeah,
Dr.
Dr.
Evil,
Evil type of deal.
Yeah. No, agreed. And if you look at it, I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, France is known for its strikes and its riots, quite frankly, on the labor side. You know, take your industry. France has had one of those. But during this, they actually had a taxi strike and a riot in Paris, the capital, over Uber. And so Kalanick basically ordered French executives to retaliate by actually encouraging their Uber drivers to stage a counter protest. And I mean, some of this is interesting. I mean, to quote The Guardian directly on this, as I was just taking notes, quote, when he warned that doing so risked putting Uber drivers at risk of attacks from extreme right thugs who had infiltrated the taxi protests and were, quote, spoiling for a fight, end quote, Kalanick appeared to urge his team to press ahead regardless. Quote, Mr. Kalanick, I think it's worth it. Violence guarantees success, and these guys must be resisted. No, agree that right place and right time must be thought out.
Wow.
Yeah.
How is this guy not in jail?
Uber is such a
He's a pretty smart guy.
yeah, he's probably sitting on some yacht right now, just saying, best of luck to all you guys. I have my little mafia here that
Well,
I
that's,
created.
you know,
in the
when he got
digital mafia.
deposed as CEO, he arranged to be put on the board.
Yeah.
As I believe the chairman, wasn't he? As
Yeah.
the chairman of the
Yep.
board.
Yep.
Well, he's not
All right,
running. He's not running Uber anymore. No.
No, he's not.
No.
Now he's
I mean,
retired.
yeah,
All right.
he's-
So
he's
last
out.
question, because we got a pack show.
Go for it.
Tell us, how does this impact the digital economy moving forward? Because
I-
Uber is a part of that. So how does that
mean,
affect it?
we can't use the rest of the hour to talk just about that. I mean, there's no denying that basically Uber rammed through the gig economy. I mean, they are the ones that basically brought it to the world. When I fly now in most major airports, I see a taxi and limo section. I see a rideshare section. That is purely based on Uber. And along that coattails came Lyft and DoorDash and TaskRabbit and all of these others. So there is no doubt that they've impacted the digital economy, even by doing deeply, deeply unethical things. There are downsides, obviously. You don't make much working in the gig economy. Oftentimes you get the big shiny number, but you don't get it. Unless you're working around the clock, you don't get health insurance with gig economy work and those kinds of things. But I don't think that this is going away anytime soon. And to your point, we lost 90% of your audience just by mentioning Uber, thanks to their PR team. So, here we are talking to each other about this, right?
That's right. That's
It's
what's
just
gonna-
us three talking now.
Well,
It
thank
really
goodness we
is. It
post
really
on
is.
YouTube. Our YouTube stuff still stays pretty good out there. So as long as Google will, I don't bash on Google too much. They'll let me do YouTube stuff, and then we'll still be out
Okay.
there a little
Well,
bit.
yeah,
All right.
you might
How
want to
Google
ride that
rides,
fine line a little bit finer, buddy.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Nick, it was great having you on the show. We'll have to have you on in the next couple of weeks again. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
Always
you.
a pleasure. We look forward to seeing you again. Where can I find out more information about your company?
Oh, just go follow me on LinkedIn or YouTube at /Nick Espinoza or Twitter at Nick AESP, and we'll hang out.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you, Nick.
Bye, Nick.
All right, that ends our segment, Ask the Expert. Up next, we have This Week in Technology, so it'd be a great time to enjoy a little whiskey on the side. As I will be doing during this break, you're listening to Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mum. See you in a few minutes.
Hey, Mike,
What?
have you heard of elderberry?
Only in reference to a Monty Python movie.
Well, let me tell you, Elderberry Boost, again, that's elderberry-boost.com.
Elderberry Boost.
Yes, Mike, that's Elderberry Boost.
You can choose organic elderberry boost, that 8-ounce size. It's available on sale right now at $11.99. But you're listening here right now on Tech Time Radio, so you need to go to Elderberry. That's ELDERBERRY-boost.com and get some today.
Elderberry Boost.
Elderberry is an all-natural organic immune system booster and antiviral. Elderberry is known to actively fight against viruses, including colds and the flu. It also works as a natural remedy for allergies, cancer, digestion, heart disease, high cholesterol, headache, toothache, weight loss, and reduced inflammation.
It's a natural and healthy diuretic and has many antiviral properties. While it is famous for fighting the flu, it is effective for any illness.
Elderberry Boost was created to provide a quality organic elderberry to their customers. After searching years ago for a perfect elderberry syrup, none could be found, so they essentially created their own homemade recipe.
If you would like to get 15% off your first order of Elderberry Boost, just put in the discount code TechTime at checkout.
Again, that's elderberry-boost.com.
Elderberry Boost.
Hello, my name is Arthur, and my life's work is connecting people with coffee. Story Coffee is a small batch specialty coffee company that uses technology to connect people to each product resource, which allows farmers to unlock their economic freedom. Try our Medium Roast Founder Series coffee, which is an exotic bourbon variety that is smooth, fresh, and elegant at storycoffee.com. That's STORI coffee.com. Today you can get your first bag free when you subscribe at storycoffee.com with code TechTime. That's STORI coffee.com.
And now, let's look back at this week in technology.
All right, we're looking at July 24th, 1950. The first successful rocket launch occurs at Cape Canaveral. The rocket Bumper 8 was captured, a German V-2 modified rocket that the U.S. Army Corporal second stage set off. Offering tracking of the rockets was supported by Navy ships, telemetry and communication support on Cape Canaveral was provided by equipment and personnel housed in temporary trailers or trucks, and support was also provided by special towers and antennas erected near and in some case on the Cape Canaveral lighthouse. The maximum range of these bumper flights was about 150 miles, although that may seem insignificant by modern standards. The stage of this set for many milestones to come, with the range of the Cape launched rockets ultimately extending to send men to the moon and spacecraft to the outer reaches of the solar system.
Which happened earlier this month in 1969.
It did. That's right. Now, today, the surface of the pad contains the scars from several bygone mission programs, but the unbelievable outline of the original bumper firing table is still clearly visible for all to see. This was the information for This Week in Technology. Have you ever wanted to learn some Tech Time history? Well, with over 2 years of videos, podcasts, and blog information, you can visit techtimeradio.com to watch our older shows or join the Tech Timers Facebook group. At this time, we want to make sure that we get ready to bring on our next guest, which will be Drew Vernon, the marketing director for Tony's, with our special Summertime for Kids using screen-free technology. Will be joining us after this break.
An accident claimed her daughter's lives. Her husband's life hangs in the balance, and Rue feels like she's losing her mind. A brand new psychological thriller from author Eve S. Evans, available for pre-order today. As Rue tries to figure out how to be alone in the family home, strange noises, voices, and shadows reveal themselves to her. Questions bubble to the surface. Are Rue's daughters haunting her? Why can't she remember what happened when they went off the bridge into the icy water below? Beneath the Water by Eve S. Evans. Available on Amazon June 29th.
And now for Mark's
All right. Today we're talking about the Belle Meade Reserve. Now, the Belle Meade bourbon is exciting and produced by Nelson's Green Brewer out of Nashville, Tennessee. The bourbon is a pre-prohibition brand that's originally produced by Charles Nelson Distillery before it was shut down during the Prohibition. I'm sure it really shut down. Not really. All right, but Nelson's great-great-great-grandson revived the brand and began rebottling it in 2013, while the company currently distills at their Nashville location. Belle Meade bourbon is sourced from the MGP in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. This is a solid pour of bourbon per Mark. This is a full flavor. I that last swig that got me.
You might have gotten it.
Yeah. The problem for Mark with this whiskey, though, is the same thing that it would be for me. It's the price. At nearly $70, the competition is fierce, and there are a bunch of other bottles out there that deserve more money than this, he says. Without considering the cost, this is a thumbs up, but adding in the price, it'll be a pass, as he does not find a place to store it on his shelf.
All right.
There's our Mark's.
I wonder what we're going to think later.
Well, I don't know. During the break, I changed my opinion, and so did you. So now it's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
Let's see how that goes.
All right. Well, now that we got that out of the way, we're excited to bring on our next guest. Our next guest is essentially a product that we have had on before. It's called the Tony Box. We had it as the best of the best for CES 2021. But our guest today is going to explain not only what the Tony Box is about, but essentially Drew Vernon, who is the marketing director for Tony's, has led Tony's for Teachers, partnering with schools, museums, and libraries to promote screen-free education for children. His work contributed to Tony being named the fastest company in 2021 by most innovative company in the education category. Prior to Tony's, Drew led the U.S. preschool business for Lego. He created the Prescription for Play, building a network of 250 pediatricians to promote daily play between parents and children. This program has become one of Lego's key global social responsibilities initiatives, along with the work that he's worked at companies like Procter & Gamble and Jurgensen's. Drew, welcome to the show.
Welcome to Technology Insider. We get the information directly from the source.
All right, our Technology Insider is joining us now. Drew, where are you joining us from directly?
I'm in.
There
sorry
he is.
I'm
you go.
in
That's right.
Salt Lake City, Utah.
Salt Lake City. Now, what's your temperature like out there today? Is it nice and hot, or is it kind of?
It is hot.
It is hot. Okay.
Yeah, we've been 100 degrees for about a week.
Okay. All right. Well, great. Well, welcome to the show. So let's talk first about this. Why are you so passionate about limiting screen time, especially during the summertime here for kids?
Yeah, I think screen time has become a second epidemic on the heels of COVID. The recommendation pre-COVID was that children under 2 should not be looking at screens, and children 2 to 5 should be looking at screens for less than an hour a day. And I think you'd be hard pressed to find parents who are adhering to that in light of COVID. I think we've gotten a lot of bad habits. And so I think it's time to reflect on that and start to give our kids alternatives to take them away from the screen.
Let me tell you, I was just at a shopping grocery store. As I'm
Mhm.
going down the aisles, I literally see parents with their kids, young toddlers, probably 3, 4 year olds. And then one of them's got an iPad, one of them's got a phone, one of them's got this. They're literally all glued to electronics as they're in the shopping area, not talking to their parents, not thinking about
That's
anything.
right. This is the wave of video babysitting.
It's just crazy. So let me ask you this specifically. Let's go right to video games. Do you think video games have helped or hindered childhood development?
I think maybe a little bit of both. I don't want to say one thing that it's all been good or all been bad. I think there are a lot of educational games, a lot of games that do promote critical thinking and problem solving. But one of my biggest hangups against screens and video games is when used in excess. It's a pretty passive experience. Everything is being presented to you, including the visual stimulus. And when something is presented to you, there's no room for creative responsibility on the viewer or the listener. And so that's why I think by removing the visual stimulus, removing the screen, it actually puts some of that responsibility upon the viewer to be able to make up some of those things in their own mind, which is a creative muscle that they need to flex.
I totally agree. We didn't have video games growing up. We had to go outside and play
Yes,
with
we-
Star
yes,
Star
we
Wars
did.
figures. And what was our video games?
We had the Atari
That
2600.
wasn't
We
really-
had the one you brought in last week.
The Odyssey.
We had Pong.
No,
we
but,
had.
but did you sit in front of that, or did you go outside and play it?
I did. I did both. I was on the cusp of this revolution that we're seeing for screen times. And he mentioned the lack of creative response. There's also the addictive qualities of screens that we haven't even touched the surface of.
Okay, yeah, that's right. All right, so the technology, I will say though, my kids did like Minecraft. I thought that was somewhat creative. I don't know if that was completely creative, but at least they had that as
that's
some
part of
type
what
that.
that's part of what Drew was saying. When I first heard about Minecraft, I was like, "What the heck is this?" My kids are looking at an 8-bit game.
Yep.
And then I started playing it myself. I was like, "Oh, this is awesome."
Okay,
So you have this way of creating,
the excitement that's there,
and there's problem solving and all these other kind of things going on in there. So yeah.
So Drew, since you're an expert in these fields, and we're going to talk about some of your time with Lego too, but let's ask you: does technology limit the ability for children to dream and pretend in their early childhood years?
I think technology can be used as a great tool. I think it can help facilitate. What I like to look for is technology that helps children fill in the gaps and something that doesn't give them the entire picture. And so that goes back to kind of the passive experience. I think the best technology is something that will give a creative prompt and then will let the child sit with emptiness or sit with being bored, or maybe giving them an opportunity to come up with the solution. And that interactivity, when used in the right way, I believe is the appropriate use of technology.
Okay, you agree? You're shaking your head up and down. Yes,
Yeah,
there.
I was saying that the way that things are presented now takes away from the ability to create problem solving moments because it presents the answers.
All right. So my next question, Drew, let's talk a little bit about your journey here. So let me ask you about your time at Lego. I'm a big brick toy maker fan. I've loved Lego. That was my imaginative process.
I still help play with Legos.
Oh, I love Legos and building them, especially when you actually had to take them apart and they didn't have all the instructions and you had to make stuff yourselves. I enjoyed that the most. But tell us a little bit about your time before you joined the Tonys and the Tony Box at Lego. How was it working for the big brick toy maker, and what did you do there?
Yeah, sure. I've been a fan of Lego since I was a child. I still remember the first set that I received back in, I think, the late 80s. And so I grew up as a kid, and then fortunately, coming out of business school and with some other companies, had the opportunity to go work for Lego. So I spent a few years there running the preschool business, which was primarily the Duplo bricks, which are larger than the regular bricks. And, I would say working for Lego is probably a child's dream. You get to work with a lot of fun people, a lot of fun license partners like Disney and others. One thing that kind of set me on the course that I'm on right now is through the Prescription for Play program, where I partnered with doctors to promote parent-child play. And that really set off a light bulb for me to say, hey, it's not just important for children to play and to learn how to use different types of bricks in that case to be creative, but it's also a connection point. And in that case, it was a connection point between parents and children. And that was a big aha for me.
All right. So you talked about licensing with Disney. Let me tell you, the Tony box. And my wife has one. I have one right here. So I'll put it up as I got it. I got it. The red.
You sure?
Yeah, the cable is plugged in. I grabbed this from my wife's preschool this morning. She brought it in. She loves it. She has third-party CDs and tapes that she's actually put onto the Tonys because there's recordable Tonys, and that's what she uses to sing happy birthday to people, to do a bunch of this stuff. So we are big fans of Tonys. But let's talk a little bit about that licensing thing, right? So how do you work with a company, let's say like Disney, which you would with Legos and with the Tonys? How do you work with them so that you don't just come in and tell their story, but you still have that imagination aspect so that kids can still kind of dream and think when they're listening to the Tony box, tell them the story?
Yeah, I think it varies partner by partner. With the Disney relationship that we have, a lot of times we'll put on the content of the movie that the character comes from. We'll also create additional content. What I really like about it being screen-free, for those of your listeners and viewers that might be less familiar, the Tony box is a 5-inch speaker cube, and it's really squeezable. So it's really designed for young kids at these young ages to be able to play audio content independently and without adult supervision. And so we do that with these characters. We have some of our own characters. I mentioned that the Disney licenses, Sesame Street, Paw Patrol, Peppa Pig. And because it doesn't have a screen, it allows, number one, the children to use it with tactile play. So they play the Tony by putting it on the box, and they navigate the different songs or chapters by giving it a nice little tap. So it's a very tactile experience that combines physical play with audio listening. And the second part of that is because there's no screen, the audio requires the child to focus and to listen and to use the sense of hearing to isolate that apart from the visual stimulation. And that allows them to create the story in their head, which, as they do and have more references to a variety of different characters and stories, it builds that creative muscle to learn how stories develop and how to create stories ultimately. And then you mentioned the recordable Tonys. We call those creative Tonys. They actually come blank. You can put your own audio on there. So that's the kind of continuum that I like to tell people about, is that we have content Tonys that give you the story, and then we have creative Tonys that let you become the author of your own story.
Perfect. All right, Drew, I want to thank you for being on the show. To find out more about Drew and the Tony box, you can visit them at https://us.tonys.com. Have a great day, Drew.
Thank you, Drew.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right. Well, right now we are going to move into our Mike's mesmerizing moment to start up right now.
This is Mike's mesmerizing moment, presented by Story Coffee. Visit storycoffee.com.
I think it's interesting that we talk about technology all the time, and people kind of forget that the underpinnings of all of these things is humans.
Yep.
And human behavior.
Yep.
And we've spent all day talking about technology, and what we've been really talking about is human behavior and how that is moving into these different realms, and at the same time is completely obliterated by these realms,
At the same time, yeah. So we create technology to make our lives easier, right? Isn't that the whole idea why the cell phone was
the whole idea?
Be created?
Yeah, the whole idea is that it's easier for us to do things, but every time we create these easy ways of doing things, we create problems that follow along with it, and then we try to solve those problems with more technology. It's kind of an insane loop.
We should just go back to the traditional ways of having imaginations on the Little House on the Prairie. Then we'd all be perfect, right?
I don't know about that.
I don't know.
I mean, this guy brought up a lot of fine points about screen time for kids, but what's going to move these we're going to be moved by technological innovation and marketing.
All right, well, we got to get our pick of the day in for our Belle Meade Reserve 108.3 proof, $68.99. You giving it a thumbs up or thumbs down, Mr. Gourdet?
I'm going to give it a thumbs down.
Okay.
I think it got better over time. The first drink I had
Thumbs
was
down.
was really strong, and then it
Thumbs
it
down.
got better over
Odie,
time.
what'd you give it?
Thumbs up.
Oh, you're gonna have a thumbs up. Okay, there you go. Well, remember, the science of tomorrow starts with the technology of today. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on Tech Time Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment today in technology. The fun doesn't stop there. We recommend that you go to techtimeradio.com and join our fan list for the most important aspect of staying connected and winning some really great monthly prizes. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service, from Apple to Google and everything in between. We're also on YouTube, so check us out on youtube.com/techtimeradio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at Tech Time Radio, remember, mum's the word. Have a safe and fantastic week.